All right, so welcome everybody to the Speak Easy Cafe. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be in the world. And this is Janelle Anderson, your host. We have been this month focusing in on how to host and master hosting online workshops. So today's topic, we're going to dive into what the number one reason is that you're not converting in your workshops. And if you are doing workshops, that might be one thing that you're finding is that you're able to get people there and maybe you share really great content, but they're not actually taking you up on whatever you're offering. And that can be a problem for a lot of people. So we are going to dive into this topic, why your online workshops might not be converting and what you can do about it. Anybody here want to learn that? It's kind of important. So let me ask you, have you ever had a workshop where you poured your heart out, taught some amazing stuff, felt like, oh my gosh, I totally crushed it. This was amazing. And then after you're all done, you just heard crickets. No one booked a call. No one bought your course. Nobody followed up. Anybody here ever experienced that? Yep. I have many, many, many times, and it is the worst feeling. So I want you to know today that it's not because you're not good at what you do. It's not that your workshop wasn't good or your message, your topic wasn't good or your content wasn't valuable. That's not the reason that you didn't convert. There's this number one reason, and that is this. This is a common mistake. You teach for information, not transformation. If you're like me, I have a teaching background, I have a education degree, and I'm really good at giving out a lot of information. But I had to learn how to focus more on transformation. So think of it this way, if you're not leading your audience on a journey, then what you're doing is you're leaving them with the wow, that was helpful stage instead of yes, I need more stage. And I was having that all the time. People were like, wow, this is so great. I learned a ton. Thanks, Janelle. And then they'd go on their way. So we're going to shift that. What most coaches do, they approach their workshops like a mini course. And they think, hey, if I give tons of value and teach them everything I know, then they're going to want to work with me. And here's the thing. Yes, it matters it matters that you give value, of course. And one of my pet peeves is going to a webinar or a workshop where I didn't get any value. I just got a bunch of fluff. And it was like, big deal. I do like getting value. I do like feeding people some meaty content that they can chew on. But if you give too much value without direction, without leading them to the next step, all it does is just overwhelms people. And they feel like they just went to a big buffet and they got overstuffed and now they're so full, they're so uncomfortable and they can't even think straight. And they walk away impressed, but they're not invested. So you don't need to teach everything you know in a workshop. This was one of the hardest lessons for me to get. And I would think I pared it down to a small little bit and it was still too much. So what you need to do is you need to guide them to just one powerful shift, just one transformation, one major insight, and then show them what's next. So it's kind of like giving them an appetizer, and then they want the meal. All right. So here's a real life example. One of my clients ran a workshop on mindset, and she gave all her best tips. She had beautiful slides, great energy, but nobody booked a call. So we looked at her flow, and the issue was simple. She never guided them to a next step. She educated, but she didn't invite. So she changed that. She changed the structure. She added some interaction, and then she gave a clear invitation. And when she gave when she did teach her information and had the interaction, all of that was planned in such a way that it made sense that people would want to go the next step with her. And she booked 6 people on discovery calls. Small shift, but big result. So let's talk about this shift from informing to transforming. I want to get out of informing and move into transforming. So I'm going to give you just a little formula I love to use. It's 3 C's. And the first one is connection. Start your workshop off by relating to your audience, relate to their struggles, bring up the problem that you're getting ready to help them solve, ask them if they've experienced it, tell them your story, connect with them in a way that they feel like you get me, you know, they feel seen and heard and known and understood. Connect first. And then you bring in clarity. The second C is clarity. Teach them just one, remember one thing, one idea, one shift, one small win that they can walk away with. Think of it as an appetizer so that they want more, but they will feel so much more accomplished. You know how it is when you eat a really tasty appetizer and you feel really good, you're not overstuffed and you're ready for the next thing. And that people feel really good when they leave a workshop like that. They feel like I got something good. I got something valuable. I can chew on this for a little bit, but I want the whole thing. I want the next thing. So it's clear, but it's around one thing. So that's the challenge. What is that one thing you can talk about or one shift you can get them to? And it might even just be grabbing hold of an idea about, oh, I can change how I'm thinking and that will make a difference in my life. Oh, I can do a workshop and make money. Or maybe maybe the idea is if I switch how one thing that I'm eating to something healthier, that will make a big difference. Like one small thing, try to get it as small and as specific as you can. You'll be amazed at how everybody loves that because even in your workshop around, you might think, oh, well, one small thing I could be finished in 5 minutes. But what you can do with that one small thing is go deeper, invite them to ask questions, invite them to do an exercise with you, invite a discussion. And people love that because now they're interacting. Now they're a part of it with you. And then they start getting their own ideas and they start having that buy-in. Oh, this will work for me. That's what you want. And then the last C is conversion. So now when you've got that going, you've got that interaction, you've got that buy-in, everybody's excited and they're in this with you, then it's an invitation. Don't think sales or convincing people to work with you. It's an invitation to keep going with you to the next step. So you're just serving the next meal. You gave them an appetizer, now you're serving them the main course. So the goal isn't to give them the whole meal, it's to give them an appetizer to make them want more. So let me break this down into 3 core elements that will turn your flat workshop that's going nowhere into a high converting experience. So the first thing is when you look at your content, curate it with purpose. Don't try to teach everything, like I said. Pick one idea. Think about one idea, one shift, and think about how you want them to feel at the end of your workshop with that one idea. And then make sure all that you teach points to that one thing. And it also points to the offer that will take them to the meal after the appetizer. So ask yourself, does this content naturally lead to my program or my course or my coaching, whatever you're inviting them into? Does what I'm teaching lead to that? Or is it going to cause a disconnect? Like, what? We were talking about this and now you're offering that? That's another common mistake coaches make. So make sure that you think about what your offer is. Then think about what's one shift I could give them in my content that will leave them at this place where they want that offer. And then build in the interaction. People don't want a lecture, they want an experience. Even a small group, get them involved, like I said. Ask questions, get them in the chat, use breakout rooms. Bring up one person to share whatever the idea is that they're working on and do like a little few minutes of coaching and ask them some questions. And everybody listening will feel more connected because one of them is up there with you. And then you could say something like, raise your hand if, or drop this in the chat every few minutes. And that keeps them engaged, gives them something to do. Write this down. And then you give them like your main point. Write this down. Maybe you say, hey, we're going to take a couple of minutes and I'm going to let you brainstorm a little bit on this idea. And then they brainstorm and you bring them back and you say, who wants to share what they just wrote down? What came up for you? And that is magic. People love, love, love that. And then when you do go into your invitation, this is where a lot of coaches freeze up because it feels weird and salesy. But here's the magic phrase, and I do want you to write this down. You've taught your content, you've got them interacting with you. Before you give your offer, say, if you want help implementing this, I've got something for you. So here it is, right? They've had the appetizer and now they're like, oh, this is really cool. I really want to do this. And then you say, if you want help implementing this, I've got something for you. Now their ears are up and they're listening. So then you share your offer as if it was a continuation of the journey they just started with you in that workshop. It's the next step. And you want to, when you're sharing that, you want to stack the value. Don't just talk about features of your program or your offer, but talk about the results that they'll get. Keep it very, very heavy on results and benefits. This is how I help my clients to do this. Here are the results you will get. This is going to help you in these ways. Think about how your life will change when you have this. Like, you've got to get them thinking about what they're going to get. And then you just share, this is how I deliver this, or this is how we roll this out. We'll meet every week on Zoom. You'll get, then you talk about features. You'll get videos, you'll get whatever it is that your program offers. One mistake people make is they spend too much time on the features. So it's an invitation for the next step. You're going to get this out of it. That's where you want to focus. So think of it as you're not pitching, you're just guiding. You're offering a hand to say, let's keep going. So the biggest reasons, remember, that workshops don't convert is because they stop at education. But conversion happens when you lead your audience through connection, give them clarity around one main breakthrough, one idea, one shift, and then invite them to continue that with you. So I want to give you a little assignment this week. Look at your last workshop, or maybe you have one coming up, and ask yourself, am I teaching to inform or transform? Am I looking for a transformation? Am I trying to get them a breakthrough? Where can I add more interaction? And do I clearly invite people into what's next? Just one of those tweaks could shift everything for you. So look at your workshop, make sure you are transforming with one major idea, insight, shift, interact with them, invite them into what's next. So remember, your workshop doesn't have to be fancy or perfect, but it does need to guide people towards something more. Because your people are not just looking for knowledge, they're looking actually for you. They're looking for that transformation. They're looking for that help. So I hope that that was helpful. If it was, then I am really glad that I shared this with you. And I want to invite you to come to my next workshop, which is totally free. It's coming up in a couple of days. It is called the Virtual Edge Workshop. You can scan this right here, and I'm going to drop a link for you. It's free. It is a very hands-on interactive workshop, just what I just taught you. And we're going to look at the 7 steps to promoting, hosting, converting, like all the things in a workshop, the 7 steps to a profitable online workshop. And we're going to actually help you start to put together your own workshop outline, ideas around topics, ideas around how to get people there, how to interact with them. So we're going to dive deeper into not only what I talked about today, but the whole formula for having a profitable virtual workshop that gets you clients, grows your audience, and makes you more money. So let me drop that in the chat here. And if you are watching this video, it'll be below. It's really simple. It's called, you can just go to virtualedgeworkshop.com and sign up today. We are going to be doing this in a couple of days. And like I said, it is totally free. So I am open now to taking any questions that anybody might have. Let me allow you guys to unmute yourselves. And I would love to hear from you all. Who has a question or a thought, comment? Ben?
Yes. First of all, this is great. I appreciate it. So
Yeah.
my name is Ben Swihart, and as a publishing consultant, I'm actually working on straddling two niches between helping people with self-publishing, where I started, and also bridging into the coaching.
Nice.
Started working with authors through editing and book layout and publishing. And the more I started working with coaching authors and business owners, solopreneurs that had a story to tell, I've been working on helping them with the idea of or digging into the story a bit more, including working with a student who's actually navigating his particular major and career choices outside of publishing. So now I'm really working to bring the two together. And
Wonderful.
I think what I'm working on is the idea of being able to launch a book within a year from the book coaching, writing, and editing, and to chunk it. So, since it is a very long journey, I'm mapping out. But I'm also working on a sort of a 6 week tell your story workshop with an hour and a half intro, where an hour and a half they can tell their story in the beginning, and then over the 6 weeks come away with their story TED Talk style, loose TED Talk style, and perhaps some of the initial copy, and be able to even rehearse telling it a little bit with some Toastmasters background, for example. And
Hmm.
so I'm like with you, I'm trying to wrap around, okay, what is the intro pricing, and then how to fold in the marketing. And again, so it's a natural fit, not just a look at me, I'm a coach. So sometimes I'm an eager beaver in
Yeah.
other workshops and networking. So to learn to get confident in it and relax. So the timing is perfect. So I'm actively trying to outline this too with very little experience, but more of the theoretical.
I love it. I love that idea. And it makes sense, a nice flow there, a client journey for them to have a smaller course, get their feet wet with the storytellings, maybe start to outline the book. And then the next step is to work with you for a year to get their book written, edited, and published. Is that the idea?
In general, yes. I have basically the background. I've helped authors on about 12 different books,
Wow.
some with 3 or 4 books over time. We're doing the layout, the cover, and then moving into the writing. So it's working on how many people are ready for the whole enchilada or the whole journey versus breaking it into parts too. That's another piece I'm working on, but do have the raw background to help someone guide
Yeah.
along that path.
That's perfect. And so all you need there is a workshop to sell that first piece
Okay.
and share, like I said, that one insider breakthrough. Maybe it's I could write a book.
Mhm.
It's that shift in their thinking. Give them a little bit of your first step in your process, maybe, and then invite them into the next step with you. I think that's a great idea. People are interested in writing books. Lots of coaches want to write books. I've written books.
Definitely.
Um, Karen's working on hers, and I love it. Love that idea. Yeah. So I hope you'll come to my workshop and we'll help you outline that workshop. A
Oh, that's
workshop for
even fun. Yeah,
workshops.
I think for sure.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Did you have any questions?
I guess it's the part of the idea of how to break it down. I'm looking at as between Zoom, or I also have a Substack blog. I think it's
Hmm.
the idea of whether to do like an Eventbrite pipeline or a funnel, or to just keep it really simple in the beginning to say like for shorter intro workshops or one-offs, just to say put into my social media, we'll be covering this on this day, and then just turn my camera on and see who's coming. Part of it is that fear of kind of getting over the hump of actually doing it
Yeah.
and just being there. And like you said, be prepared if there's going to be people coming and then finding out what they need in the moment, or if there's crickets, or just that testing. I have a
Yeah.
tendency to want to have every piece of it mapped out instead of just be there. I know the material, but to break it down and
Yeah.
make it something people can digest is one of the things, like
Yeah.
you said,
Yeah.
not
That's
not
really, really
yeah, to look for
common.
more knowledge transformation than knowledge than just knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you're just starting off doing that, it takes practice and just testing things out. When I started, I'd think of all these topics that my audience might be interested in, and I would just try them out and see which one really landed.
Oh, okay.
And then eventually, you can fine tune your kind of, I call it your signature workshop that fits into that whole journey. And it's your signature workshop that leads them to your signature program that leads them to the higher end program. And it works, like a well-oiled machine. But starting off with, there are a lot of things to learn and nuances and testing. Um, I I started with what I call a Zoom show, which is this idea. And that's a really great way to start is pick a topic, invite people to come in. You're going to share a little bit, invite them to ask questions, engage with you. Then you get to know them, they get to know you, and maybe it's just that connection piece. to start with and test out. And if it's a regular thing you do every week, you start to build an audience and a following. So just turn on the camera and share a tip or two, see what happens.
Awesome. That sounds
Yeah.
great. Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
doable. Appreciate
Yeah. Yeah. That's where I usually tell people to start. And then that will lead you into having the right content for an actual workshop that maybe
it. Okay.
you promote a bigger, wider, and it goes for an hour, hour and a half. You make an offer, it's a little bit more to it, a lot of interaction and that kind of thing. So if you have like a every week little show, I call it a Zoom show, um, you record that and then you're building content and you're also testing out your audience and finding out what really resonates with people. They're finding you, getting to know you, and then you can go from there. Like, hey, come to my workshop, join my Facebook group, sign up for a one-on-one with me, things like that.
I like that. That feels also like it ties in naturally since I've been
Yeah.
getting a cadence that writing the blog has been the main process, not just for putting together the post, but also bringing up those thoughts. And then sometimes those filter into smaller posts and interactions, like a
Yeah.
quick, here's a problem solution question to ask.
Yeah.
And that could become part of the Zoom live. I can see that working out.
Yeah, you can really repurpose everything. So whatever you're talking about in your blog, you could say, "Hey, I'm going to talk about this piece. We're going to have a online discussion or a chat, coffee chat or something like that, something casual conversation if you'd love to come and learn more and ask me questions directly, then I'm going to have this whatever you want to name it on such and such a day and use the same content. And then when you record it, that can become part of your blog or it can become, part of your you could put together a series of your recordings and put them into little mini courses like, you're building your content. It can become a podcast for you. You can
Mhm.
put it out there as a podcast interview or content episode. So it all gets, tied together and it just helps you to build your visibility and your expertise. People start to find you because you're out there. Yeah, I always say just go out and do it. You know your content, practice sharing it, see who you attract. And like you were mentioning, you like to get things perfect. If you're waiting to get ready, to get ready, to get ready, to get ready,
Yeah. Yeah.
it never happens.
During the
It's just,
pandemic, I did have an accountability partner friend, and we just talked about, okay, are we getting ready to be ready, or are we ready to be ready? Are we ready? Now we're ready. Okay, now we're doing it. And
yeah,
now I am very much built. I am building that things. I am building that stalling airplane and then leveling it out and then bringing it back up for sure.
yeah, yeah, good. Yeah. The more you get into action, the better. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Mine are never perfect. Something will definitely go wrong, and it's okay. People like real people. So they don't want you to be perfect, to be honest. They want you to be real. Yeah. So you can just relax and be you and share your awesome content. Help people. That's what it's all about. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that, Ben. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Karen
Appreciate it.
or Mike, do you have anything you want to ask or share? Karen's been doing her workshops for a while. Mike?
Well, I'm actually doing my 90 for 30 workshop tomorrow where I help
Oh,
here in Hickory. I help businesses do their 30-second commercials.
oh, neat.
So I did a few when we first moved here several years ago. I was in the chamber and did some. The first one I did, I had I wasn't really worried about a follow up offer after that. And I'm a constant contact local expert. So I think your first tip will be that's one thing I want to point to helping them with that afterwards. But
Awesome.
I mean, yeah, the chiropractor chasing me down because I forgot to go the other day. Um, but no, I think your first thing about checking at it, because that's one of the big things I'm going to be doing is, uh, inviting them to join constant contact. But now I can also uh, push them a little further, maybe from whether it's you do it, we do it, or I do it for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Connecting that. So I get a lot of people telling me, "Oh, you might, I got to come to this. I got to do," And the first couple of years ago, when I did it, one of the local bank vice presidents brought 7 people, including herself, from the bank. So that was a good start. But I get a lot of lip service sometimes. Need to get a little more people signing the dotted
Hmm.
lines.
Hmm.
I got 4 already registered tomorrow, and 1 guest that I'm bringing in that had
Good.
been my first one. He's been one of my most vocal supporters. So I'm gonna let him come and show off a little bit too to see what he. But anyway, so anyway, I appreciate that first tip. We'll see. I'll see how that goes tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool thing, especially, if you're involved in your local chamber and you have local businesses. Hi, Karen. You can help them put that 30-second commercial together. That's so hard to do. It's hard to get all your message across in 30 seconds. So that's a
That's
great.
that's part of the problem. You don't need to. They don't get that. They want. I was. That's what I used to be tempted. Where I woke up several years ago. We lived out in California, and I was in a networking group, and because I do multiple things. I don't do. I've been a girls softball coach for years, so I in Toastmaster. I do public speaking. I help people with that, but I never focused. I'm an old guy, so um, what I had a friend of mine come up to me at one of the meetings one time, and he said, "Coach Mike," he said, "I know what you do, but I don't really know what you do." And it was sort of a wake up call because I'm trying to get a little bit of something in it every time I do my commercial. I'm either trying to jam in too much or spreading out
Yeah.
too much. They can't connect it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's the first time I focused, and then I don't know if imagine if you've been around virtual events, you probably know RV Robinson. I had
No,
her
I
do.
don't.
Oh yeah, she's out in California,
Oh, okay.
and we're good friends. And I actually had her help me because I do a great job of helping somebody else. I think that's normal. We're great at helping other people. We can't always help ourselves. We don't always see what
Yeah,
other people see.
it's true.
She helped me focus in on that a little bit more for as far as me and focusing that down. So
Yeah.
don't get
Perfect.
carried away. I'm in one leads group where their their definition of leads is not what I'm used to. Their definition of a lead is just information. And
Ah,
one person's that she's not really running, but she's sort of, she doesn't really want people to do commercials or about themselves, and
mm,
it's because we got a guy that owns a cement company and another guy's a contractor. Oh, this building's going up over here, and they're going to do this. This guy, that doesn't really help us most, but it's
right.
really more of a social group. But
Ah,
we get some connections. Everyone's different, so
yeah. Yeah, that's true. Well, that's really cool. I hope your workshop goes well tomorrow.
I'll keep you posted. I'll let you know
Yeah.
if it goes further.
Let me know. Yeah, definitely.
May I ask you? I see you as a virtual event. Are you tied up with the icon maker people?
I know them. I know Cheryl Plouffe spoke at one of my summits,
Okay.
and I know Danella Burnett. I don't know Tom very well, but I know about all them and what they're doing, and it's awesome. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah,
And
Janelle actually does was doing a lot of events for RV, and actually
Oh,
when
okay.
we
I think I
moved
have
in,
heard of RB. Yeah.
yeah, when I moved back here, North Carolina, Janelle was having a workshop or event with RV in
Mm.
Atlanta, so I actually
Ah, yeah.
went down for that one since 4 hours,
Yeah. Yeah.
3 hours
Cool.
getting 3 hours getting to Atlanta and 1 hour in Atlanta.
That's
So
all.
Mike, I've got to ask, where are you in Toastmasters? What club or what's your
Catawba,
hometown we're in?
Catawba Valley Toastmasters.
Mm.
We're in
Oh, very
District
nice.
37. I used to be in 2741 Downey Downey, California. That club eventually faded away, and I think somebody else chartered it. And I was also in the Speakers Bureau out there in California, Founders District Speakers Bureau.
Awesome. Well, let me stop the recording and you guys can continue to chat about that. But thank you everybody for watching. Make sure you check the links below. Come to the Virtual Edge Workshop. We'll see you here again next Monday.